Hello students, for today's video, we will be learning about the validity and falsity of an argument. So for us to be able to determine if the argument is valid or not, we have to acquire first the skill on how to symbolize an argument. So what is an argument? In propositional logic, it is a sequence of propositions. So it is in this form where the propositions P sub 1, P sub 2 to P sub n are called the premises of the argument and Q is the conclusion. So a premise class, it provides reason or support for your conclusion. So there can be one or many premises in a single argument. And as observed, the premises are connected by this symbol for conjunction. A conclusion, on the other hand, it is a statement in an argument that indicates what the arguer is trying to convince the reader or the listener, or what is the argument trying to prove. So there can only be one conclusion in a single argument. Okay, so arguments can be written in two forms. So first is it is in propositional form, just like this, or in column or in standard form. But in this video, we will symbolize an argument using this form, the propositional one. Okay? So let's symbolize the first proposition. If it is sunny, Ben will go by King. It is not sunny, therefore Ben will not go by King. Given this argument, we have to let P and Q be our proposition. So proposition P, that is, it is sunny, and proposition Q, Ben will go by King. So for our first premise, that is, if it is sunny, Ben will go by King. For the second premise, that is, it is not sunny, and our conclusion is Ben will not go by King. So let's translate the premises and the conclusion into its corresponding symbol. So for our first premise, that is, if P, then Q. For our second premise, that is, we are simply negating our proposition P. So that is not P. And for our conclusion, that is, we are also negating our proposition Q. So that is not Q. So take note that the argument is in this form, right? So which is somehow a conditional proposition where the hypothesis is a combination of the premises, which are connected by this symbol used for conjunction, and Q is our conclusion. So the translation of this argument to propositional form is this, where the premises P implies Q and not P is combined by this connector for conjunction, and the premises is an implication for our conclusion, which is not Q. That is how to symbolize a given argument.
So for our second proposition, that is, if it is rainy, then the pool will be closed. It is rainy, therefore the pool is closed.
So let P and Q be our proposition. So for proposition P, that is, it is rainy. Proposition Q, the pool will be closed. So we have two premises here. For our first premise, that is, if it is rainy, then the pool will be closed. For our second premise, it is rainy. So our conclusion is the pool is closed. So let's translate these sentences into its corresponding symbols. So we have, for premise number 1, that is P, if P then Q, or P implies Q. For our second premise, we simply copy our proposition P, and same goes with our conclusion. Just copy our proposition Q. To symbolize this argument, we have this. Okay? So for our third proposition, we have, if you do every problem in this book, then you will learn discrete mathematics. You learned discrete mathematics. Therefore, you did every problem in this book. You be our propositions. Proposition P, you do every problem in this book. Proposition Q, you will learn discrete mathematics. So for our first premise, we have, if you do every problem in this book, then you will learn discrete mathematics. For our second premise, that is, you learned discrete mathematics. So our conclusion, you did every problem in this book. So to translate this one into its corresponding symbol, for our first premise, that is, if P, then Q. For our second premise, You simply copy our proposition Q, you learn discrete mathematics, and our conclusion, you did every problem in this book, that is simply our proposition P. So this is now the symbol for the given argument. So for our fourth proposition, if I go swimming, then I will stay in the sun for too long. If I stay in the sun for too long, then I will get a sunburn. Therefore, if I go swimming, then I will get a sunburn. So let P, Q, and R be our proposition. For proposition P, I go swimming. Proposition Q, I will stay in the sun for too long. And proposition R, I will get a sunburn. So we have here how many premises? We have 1 and then 2. Okay, we have 2 premises. First premise, if I go swimming, then I will stay in the sun for too long. Second premise, that is, if I stay in the sun for too long, then I will get a sunburn. For our conclusion, if I go swimming, then I will get sunburn. So let's symbolize the premises and conclusion. So for our first premise, that is, if I go swimming, which is our proposition P, then I will stay in the sun for too long. That is proposition Q. For our second premise, if I stay in the sun for too long, then that is proposition Q, then I will get a sunburn. So proposition R. So this is still an implication. So for our conclusion, that is, if I go swimming, that is proposition P, then I will get a sunburn. So that is proposition R. This is now the symbol, that is, if P then Q for our first premise, then connected by this symbol for conjunction, and then followed by our second premise, if Q then R, and then lastly our conclusion, that is, if P then R. Okay, last, I will not join the math club or I will join the English club. I will join the math club or I will join the glee club. Therefore, I will join the glee club or the English club. So I think this person is confused which club to join. Okay, anyway, so let P, Q, R be the propositions. For proposition P, I will join the math club. Proposition Q, I will join the English club. Proposition R, I will join the glee club. So for our first premise, that is, I will not join the math club or I will join the English club. For our second premise, I will join the math club or I will join the glee club. And for our conclusion, that is, I will join the glee club or the English club. So to symbolize this one, for our first premise, that is, I will not join the math club. So you are negating our proposition P. And then we are using, and then we are using the connector or. So this is the symbol for or the disjunction symbol. And then I will join the English club. So that is our proposition Q. For our second premise, that is, I will join the math club. So proposition P or, then or, so this is now the symbol for or, then I will join the glee club. So that is proposition R. For our conclusion, that is, I will join the glee club, proposition R, or, so this is the symbol for or, then the English club. So that is proposition Q. So to symbolize the argument, that is, we are combining the two premises. For our first premise, that is not P or Q, and then we will be using this symbol for conjunction to combine the two premises. So for our second premise, that is P or R, and then for our conclusion, that is R or Q. So that is the first part of our video, which focuses on symbolizing an argument. For our next video, we will validate an argument. So please prepare your table generator because we will be using that one in constructing the truth table to validate given argument. Thank you for watching.